Hey guys, it's LEGO Boys E3. These are my top 5 most boring cubes to solve. So today I'm going to be going over some of the cubes that maybe aren't so much fun to solve, the ones that I don't really solve very often, just because it takes so long and it's so tedious to do every single tiny little thing. And I'm not saying that I don't like these puzzles are actually some of my favorite puzzles that I have, and the solving can be fun sometimes, but other times it just gets boring. It really just depends on the day that I'm solving it, I guess. But first up is one that you've probably seen before. You've probably seen most of these before. This one is the Pyraminx Crystal, and I said that I really did like this one, and I said that I like to solve it, and I do kind of like to solve it, but at the same time, it gets kind of repetitive because the first part is just a Megaminx, but it's a little bit harder to recognize, and it just gets kind of annoying when you can't recognize something easily, and it takes a long time. And so yeah, first part's pretty boring, and then the second part is like a Pyraminx, and you have to get all these pieces in the right spot. And it really just takes me a long time because, like, if a piece is flipped and I'm trying to put it in, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll move over here, and I'll move over here, and here, and here, and here. And now I flipped around, but that took like a minute just to flip. And so it really just takes a really long time to get each individual piece in, all in the right spot. And so, yeah, it's pretty boring. Again, I still do like the cube. It might have even been on my favorite cubes list. I honestly don't remember. But it just can be a little bit boring to solve. And I just like messing around with it, kind of just doing moves and seeing how pieces affect each other, more so than actually solving it. And also the last layer is pretty difficult because there's algorithms that I don't really know, that I've forgotten since I originally learned how to solve it, so that can be pretty difficult too because I have to go out and figure out how to solve it every single time. Next up is one that you've probably seen before, I'm sure you have. It's the type of cube that most everyone has. It's just a big cube. This is my 8x8, the V-Cube 8, but I'm not really talking about this cube in particular. It's pretty much just big cubes in general. Big cubes, they can be fun, like the first couple times you solve them, but really they just get really repetitive. Like when you do the centers, like you put pieces together, and then you put another piece together, and another piece, and another piece. You line those all up, and then you get another piece, another piece, another piece, and you just do that forever, like 10-15 minutes of just doing centers. Gets really, really boring. And so yeah, I like this puzzle a lot because it's just really big and giant and awesome, but when it actually comes to solving it, it gets kind of boring. Really, I think how much I like a puzzle doesn't really depend on how much I like solving it, because solving it is just like one little thing. I kind of just like to have this one because it's like a cool one to have around. It was one of the top ones on my favorite cube list, I know that for sure. And yeah, I just really like this cube, but at the same time, I don't really like solving it. And the same goes for the next one. This is actually, I believe it was my favorite cube on that list. And here we go. You probably know what it is. It's the Gigaminx, the Shengshou Gigaminx. And you may be surprised about this one. I said that I really like to solve it. And I do. It's fun for the first like couple minutes, and then it gets really, really, really boring. Like, it's very hard to recognize, much like the first cube that I showed you. It's really hard to recognize like where each of the individual pieces is, and you have to like get each little piece in the right spot, just kind of like the 8x8 actually. But at the same time, it's very hard to recognize, so it just takes a really, really long time. The worst part is the edge pairing right in the middle, where you have to look around the cube. Where is that purple and white piece? Oh, here it is, and then move it over, and move all the way around the cube until you finally get it into the right spot and line it up. And then that's 1/30th of the way, I think it is. Yeah, it takes a really, really long time. Again, I still really do like the puzzle. It's definitely my favorite puzzle overall still. But when it comes to solving, this puzzle really isn't for me because it just gets really boring and tedious and, yeah, not very fun to solve. It is a great puzzle though, and the next one is also a really cool puzzle that you can show off to people and they may not understand it. It's the Ghost Cube. This is actually my 3D printed Ghost Cube mod. It's a pretty nice cube. I actually 3D printed every single one of the pieces, except for the core, of course. But yeah, it's pretty much just a Ghost Cube. It turns just like one. It actually turns pretty well too. And you see, you line up all the pieces right, and you solve it just like this. And you have to solve it exactly into this position because the solve state, or the cubic state, is actually a little bit offset like that. And you have to kind of offset it a little bit. And then you have to solve it into this position because it'll only turn once you get it to here. And so because you have to solve it into this position, you may be like trying to line up this piece with a couple of other pieces, and like you can't find any other piece on the cube that lines up with this piece because no other pieces do line up with this piece. And yeah, that makes it really hard, and if I had made this cube before my hardest cubes list, it would definitely also be on that list. But it is also very tedious to solve and honestly quite boring, which of course is why it's on this list. And yeah, it just takes a really, really long time because like there's so many pieces that look so similar. Like look at the difference between this and this piece. It's just the slightest little angle. The little angle separates these two pieces. There's no way to tell besides just trial and error, just matching up one piece and another. I believe the only one time I've solved this, I've only actually solved it once ever, was using a picture of the cube that I had online. So yeah, I kind of even cheated because it was so hard and it took a long time. It was okay, but it was also pretty boring. Just doing trial and error over and over again just to get all the pieces into the right spots. But that's it for the ghost cube. Next up finally is one that was on my hardest cubes list, and after solving it quite a few times, I can definitely say this is the most boring puzzle to solve. Again, it's a nice puzzle, but very, very boring. This is the Calvin's puzzle Hexaminks. So I've already gone over this before in a past top 5 video, but pretty much you have to line up the centers correctly. They have to be the correct orientation. You have to move all the edges in between them in the exact right spot. There's multiple pieces that are the same exact colors, they're just reversed, flipped around, and like these pieces are the same as these pieces, and they're the same as these pieces, and that gets really confusing because these are all corners. And at the same time, this piece and this piece and this piece are all edges, which is also very confusing. But not just the hard part of it, it also just takes a really long time to get each little piece in the right spot every single time. It just takes a long time. And much like some of the other cubes that I've shown before in this video, it's very, very hard to recognize. Like you may be looking for the white and orange piece and you see one over here, you move it around, finally try and not mess up any of the pieces, put it in, realize it's backwards, and then you look around again, you can't find it. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, it's over here. Move it around, up here, around here, over here, and put it in. Every single piece is like that, and it just takes a really long time. So yeah, that's why I don't like solving this cube, and yeah, that's why I don't like solving most of these other cubes. It just takes a really long time, especially like to recognize pieces on a lot of these puzzles is just kind of painful to do. But these are all really nice puzzles at the same time. I found that some of the most boring cubes are also some of my favorite just because of how crazy they are. Crazy and awesome, but at the same time pretty hard and complicated and boring to solve. But yeah, here are all of them. If you want to buy any of these cubes, you can't buy this one because it's a mod, but if you want to buy any of these other 4, they're all available in the links in the description below. You can also see videos about all these cubes, all 5 of them, down in the description below. I have videos about pretty much all these, and so go check those out and buy some of them if you want to buy them. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked it, you can leave a like down below to show me that you liked it. Stay subscribed to be notified when another video like this comes out, and leave some suggestions down in the comments below for other top 5 videos that I can make like this in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!